Let's get to the middle tier of teams in the NFL. NFC dominant, NFC North dominant. 14, 15, and 17, Packers, Bears, and Vikings. Oh my. Young coaches, young quarterbacks, tons of talent, toughest division in football, and a bunch of teams on there that your Patriots who believe, the Raiders upgraded coach and quarterback, they believe. Bucks probably think, what do we have to do to get more respect? Did the Falcons find a pass rush with what they did in the draft? There's a lot of teams on that list, I think, that actually believe that they can be contenders this year. It's a deep league. But
now, appetizers are done. Now it's time for the main meal.
You ready, Brew? You want more on this? You want me to go every team?
No, please.
Okay, just want to let you. All right, fine. Now to Danny's dozen. Team number 12. Brew can't decide on the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's changing his take.
You like them. That's playoffs, right? I don't know how many AFC teams.
Yeah, no, it's playoffs, and I don't love the drama that Aaron Rodgers brings, but I know that Mike Tomlin doesn't care about drama. He's dealt with it with Le'Veon Bell. He's dealt with it with Antonio Brown. And you could say you've heard the take before, but if you can do it with Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, you could certainly do it with Aaron Rodgers. And I love the idea of Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith and DK Metcalf. That is pass catchers who block, who will help an old quarterback stay healthy, and that he can get rid of the ball too very quickly. So I think the Steelers.
I'm filing that away as I marinate on my Steelers.
I can't wait for prediction week for you. Number 11, another AFC team, the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix got completely overshadowed by Jaden Daniels and then all of the talk about my guy Caleb Williams. Bo Nix had 29 touchdowns last year.
He was good.
That's second most for a rookie ever to Justin Herbert. No big deal. But the Broncos, they add Hufanga, they add Greenlaw to their defense, which was already a borderline top 5 unit, depending on what stat you want to go with. Now it's year 2 for Bo Nix with Sean Payton. They had the playoff experience from last year. It's a very solid team that just nobody talks about because of the AFC West. Number 10, the aforementioned Justin Herberts. Their draft of Hampton and then Trey Harris in the second round, a deep threat that a lot of people loved coming out of college. They need something for him in the passing game outside of Ladd McConkey. But Harbaugh just wins, and Herbert, you guys know he's the next Peyton Manning. But again, an AFC team that was in the playoffs last year that won double digits and I think upgraded significantly in terms of the weapons that they could surround with. And they don't get as much attention for the Lions and the Eagles. That's an excellent offensive line, maybe the second best tackle duo of any team in the NFL with Alt and Slater. Alt had an awesome rookie year. Number 9, maybe a disappointment here for the rankings in Washington, given that they were in the NFC Championship game last year. 9 games last year they won by single digits. Won that Tampa game in the playoffs by just 3 points. I loved what Jaden Daniels did.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah, please.
I don't think that's a good stat.
Why not?
That they won a lot of games by single digits?
You don't like that stat?
No, I think it's a good stat, but I feel like that's, we did like a coin flip. I just don't like that many close victories. And, obviously the Hail Mary can go the other way.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why
I think they could go the other way.
I think they could go further back, though.
Okay, well, so to me, this is the type of team where they actually might be a better team with a worse record.
And that's smart.
Like they won
like Brock Purdy.
They won 12 games.
Quarterback.
They add Laramie Tunsil's a great addition.
Yes.
Deebo Samuel, if he's healthy, is a great addition.
Better team, worse
for number
record,
2. But I think better team, worse record, worse postseason, but just like still clearly building in the right direction. 8th best team in the NFL. Brew's on it. It's not about Brock Purdy, but Christian McCaffrey. And the guys that they like Christian McCaffrey coming back is way bigger than any of the guys that they lost, right? And that changes everything. Now, the Ayuk injury and whatever's going on with Jennings, that's a little tough to handicap at this moment in time, but we're 50 days away. So I'm going to bank on Ayuk's coming back when they say, and that Jennings will be there. But so assuming that, they have some problems, I think, with age. Kittle's getting older, Trent Williams is getting older, Bose is getting older. So some of their superstars that they're relying on are older. But I just love Kyle Shanahan. I think he is the type of guy that maximizes what he has, and they should be healthier than they were last season. Number 7, this one's going to be controversial. The Cincinnati Bengals. They had a 3-4 record last year when they scored more than 30 points. Like, that was a historic offense last year. Outside of week 1 in the game against the Patriots that I know stuck with you, and I understand that that was a disappointment. But after that game, they were truly an offense of like, oh, wow, that should be a 12-win team based on the number of points per game that they scored. Their defense was just so historically terrible. New defensive coordinator in there. Even if they get a bump from a new defensive coordinator to the 19th best defense in the NFL, they're a double-digit win team. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins coming back. I think Hendrickson is going to be fine. Like, they're going to actually have the positive vibes of retaining all of those guys. So I think that's going to be a controversial one with people, but Bengals at number 7. Number 6, what's not to like about the LA Rams? They gave Philly as much of a test as anybody down the stretch of the last 17 games. If that was a 62-minute football game, they easily could have won it in the divisional round. Les Snead is unbelievable. Fisk hit as a draft pick last year. Verse hit as a draft pick last year. They add Devontae Adams this year to replace Kupp so that Nakua still has Devontae Adams. Sean McVay is a wizard. There's really nothing not to like about the Rams. Them and the Niners, I think, is going to be excellent, assuming both teams stay healthy. The 5th best team in the NFL, Brew, your Baltimore Ravens.
A little low.
See, I figured you'd say that.
Low.
They were great, but these teams at the top are all excellent. First team ever with 40-plus passing touchdowns and 20-plus rushing touchdowns in a season. A truly historic run-pass offense from last year. Does Derrick Henry go a full 17? Can they stay healthy? I love Zay Flowers. At this point, I don't really want to point out any negatives because I think any of these teams in the top 5 are legit Super Bowl contenders. Number 4, we stay in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills. I trust Josh Allen a little bit more, and with the resources they put into the defensive side of the ball, with their first 5 draft picks being defensive players, with Bosa, with McDermott as their coach on the defensive side, I know everyone likes to talk about the receivers, but I don't know why you need to invest $150 million in DK Metcalf when you scored 30 points per game. Like, their offense was fine last year, so they just need to stay healthy on the defensive side of the ball. And that team also, no team is more guaranteed to host a playoff game than the Buffalo Bills because of their path through the AFC East. 3rd best team in the NFL as we sit 50 days out. The Detroit Lions. I've picked them to be in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. We'll see if I end up making it 3. I can't remember a team more decimated by injuries on one side of the ball than the Lions were last year. Like,
got it done.
And they still got the 1 seed. They scored 31 in the divisional round, gave up 45. I think we were robbed of an awesome Eagles-Lions NFC championship game.
Aaron Glenn is gone, though.
Aaron Glenn is gone.
The double coordinator loss.
We saw it what happened in Philly.
Well, Philly did fine.
That's the thing.
2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But
it was the same situation.
Yeah.
I think the Lions roster is excellent. I think that Ben Johnson to me is a bigger add for the Bears than he is loss for the Lions. Because I think a lot of people are going to be able to coordinate that offense. And then here we go.
So easy.
The Super Bowl rematch. What order does it come in?
I mean, there's only one answer here. Please don't do that.
No. The Kansas City Chiefs.
Thank you. This is just
all right.
Sanity reigns.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. The Chiefs at 2 and the Eagles at 1.
Okay. Let's talk about this. I'm gonna have to make separate videos for a lot of these teams. I mean, it's kind of funny that Danny himself put the Broncos, put Bo Nix so low on his mountain and was like, Bo Nix was awesome, but like blah blah blah. Caleb Williams is better, and these other players are better, and this, that, and the third. And then he's like, people were sleeping on Bo Nix, and it's like, well, you're apparently one of them, man. So, let's be serious here. And then the Commanders, guys. Listen, the whole 1-score game thing, okay? Yes, you're not going to consistently win these 1-score games and all of that. I understand that. But here's the thing. If this Commanders team was a really solidified team, where Jaden has been the quarterback for like 3 years, 4 years, Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury. Like there's been a lot of continuity there, and the roster is pretty much like the meat and potatoes of it. Then I could understand. But you're talking about Jaden getting better. Cliff Kingsbury becoming a better coach, but just having more experience specifically with Jaden Daniels. Adding Debo. Enforcing your O-line. Ideally having a more enhanced run game. The defense should be a lot better under year 2 under Dan Quinn. Like this team should be better, so you should be in less one score gotta have it moment games. You understand that? I understand that. It's pretty straightforward. The thing about the Rams giving the Eagles the best run for their money and all that, it was a blizzard. It was a snowstorm. If 62 minutes the Rams win, and if it was 65 minutes the Eagles win. What are we trying to do here, man? What are we trying to do here? I mean, I do believe that the Bengals. I mean, because I made many videos recently about Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and actually like how just special it really was with what Joe Burrow did, with that offense. And it's just like if the defense is just even remotely decent, then this Bengals team will definitely be a top team. I believe in the 49ers turning this thing around. I'm not so convinced that the 49ers are now going to be better than the Commanders, Chargers, and Broncos. I could see them being like a top 12 team, but like I'm not going to put them ahead of the Commanders, Chargers, and Broncos right now. And like what is going on with Ayuk and Jennings, and like it's definitely a bit of a mess. I believe that this team will be better. I'm still on the fence about what type of a year we get out of Christian McCaffrey. I'm excited to see what the defense now looks like under Robert Saleh. I think that'll be instantly better, like again, a snap of the fingers. But I think the Broncos have a chance to make a massive step forward, especially if their defensive additions can stay healthy. I think their run game should be so much more potent. Same thing with the Chargers' run game, as well as I think Bo Nix is going to take a step forward. And so I just think there could be some separation. And to be clear, when I'm talking about some of these other teams in the rankings, this is always my issue with rankings, is that it can make it feel like there's so much distance ahead of one another. And I don't see that. Like just because I see the Commanders or the Chargers or the Broncos or whatever better than the 49ers, it doesn't mean that I think that the 49ers are now like this awful team, or that it's just miles of separation here. I really don't see it that way. And it's like I believe what the Steelers can do, but like let's now go back to these other teams. The Packers, the Bucs. Listen, you do got to give him a little bit of credit here, because we know he's a massive Chicago Bears fan, and he's not pulling a Nick Wright. He has the Bears 15th. He even has the Packers ahead of them. I do respect that. I do. I only ever really hope to get someone's like honest take, right? That's all I ever really hopefully try to get. I can disagree with it. I can think it's wrong. I can think the logic's wrong, but I always just want it to be like at least like grounded in reality. So I do respect that. He could easily have put the Bears top 12 at least, and it would have been fine. Not saying it would have necessarily been accurate, but it just at least like it. You could there's at least a bit of an argument for them. But the fact that he put them at 15 and put the Packers ahead, like I do respect. I definitely do for sure respect. I think the Falcons are too low. I mean, the Packers are too low. I think even the Bears are too low. Like, I mean, this is the problem also when you do the rankings, that it's not the tiers, so you don't have them all in separate tiers. I prefer tiers. I always prefer tiers over numerical order. Whether we're talking about individual teams, whether we're talking about quarterbacks, position players, whatever it may be. I think this is like a tougher thing to kind of look at it like this right now, because you're essentially saying that the Vikings aren't a playoff team, Falcons aren't a playoff team, the Bears aren't a playoff team, the Packers are fringe, the Buccaneers are fringe, and I just, I'm not so sure I want 100% see it that way. I do think the NFL is the deepest it's been since I can remember personally. And that is what makes it so hard. Like he said in this clip, like, oh, I can't wait to see Brew for a predictions week. And I can't confidently pick, who I think is winning, many of the divisions I can't confidently pick. And then it makes it harder for me to then try to figure out like who's going to be in the wild card. I genuinely see a path for the Falcons to win the division. I genuinely see a path for the Buccaneers to win the division. I genuinely see the Packers chance to path to win the division over the Lions. I do believe that the Lions will take a step back. To pretend like you can just lose Ben Johnson and that everything's going to be all good, that's comically hilarious to me. I think the Bears are going to take a massive step forward. Do I think they can take such a step forward and overcome the Packers and the Lions in the division? Probably not. But do I think that there's a path for them for the wild card? Absolutely. Same thing with the Vikings. That roster was fantastic. J.J. McCarthy, we see a lot of quarterbacks having a lot of success early on in their careers as first-year starters or rookies or however we want to define it. And so it's like, as long as if J.J. McCarthy is just competent, that's all he has to be, is just competent. Well, that Vikings team is going to be legit as well. And so it's just like, what does that all mean there? And a lot of the same things could be said for Michael Penix. If those defensive draft picks do hit, and Michael Penix is who I believe he is, then that Falcons team is going to be quite potent as well. To bring it back here, and it's just like we talk about the Chiefs and the Eagles so much, and it's just like what's there to say there? The Bills and the Ravens. It's interesting. I think the Ravens have a better roster than the Bills, but I believe Josh Allen is a better quarterback. And in a weird way, I almost have, even though I don't really have a lot of confidence in either coaching staffs, I do have a slightly more confidence in the Buffalo Bills coaching staff than I do the Ravens. But I do believe that the Ravens, you can make the argument that the Ravens had the best roster in 23. But they had the best roster in 24, at least in the AFC, probably not over the Eagles, but at least in the AFC, and yet they haven't been able to get it done. So it's just like that's why I kind of asked the question before. It's just like what's going to be the difference for the Baltimore Ravens? It's not going to be a roster construction standpoint here. But if I look at that roster and I look at the quarterback play, even, and I'm a huge believer of Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, I'm like, when you look at the roster, when you look at Lamar Jackson in his absolute prime, you look at Stafford, obviously running out of steam a little bit, but he does have Sean McVay, he does have Puka Nacua, he does have a great defense, he does have Devontae now. You're like, well, does that gap between a team like the Ravens and the Rams close? And it's kind of interesting because my gut would tell me, dude, the Ravens are clearly significantly better than the Rams. But I do believe so much in coaching that I'm like, Sean McVay closes that gap massively compared to who the Ravens have coaching. And like, that's when things become so much harder to kind of figure out what numerical value do I put on a team in July before I've seen any of these guys play, because I don't know what Stafford looks like right now in 2025. I don't know if the Ravens are finally going to feel like they're playing more settled, more on script. They're more disciplined. They're not fouling every other play, right? Like, I don't know how much of a step back the Detroit Lions legitimately take, because I do think it'll happen again. I always have to emphasize this. I'm not saying that they were 100 last year and then now this year with the step back, it's going to drop down to 80. Like, I'm not saying that either, but I am a firm believer in coaching matters, okay? Like, it just does. And so you're losing two massive coordinators that were the identity of this offense. And I know everyone wants to put it all on Dan Campbell, but that's just not how I 100% see it. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see the Bills and the Ravens be ahead of a team like the Detroit Lions. If they knock out both coordinating hires, out of the park, well, then for sure, then that roster is awesome, and then a lot of success ensues. But also right now, making these predictions, it's like I'm not putting the Rams ahead of the Commanders. I could see the argument for the Bengals, even top 6 actually, but that really is 1000% predicated on, have you made this defense at least average? if you make this defense just average, where instead of giving up, instead of being like the 32nd ranked defense or whatever, whatever the heck it was, where they're just middle of the pack, okay? They're just a pretty good defense. They don't, just fail every single moment. But then this team, like this offense and what Joe Burrow was doing, and it's people want to keep inventing that it was just like kind of inflated numbers. It's inflated numbers when you're down by like 25 or something, right? When you're down 3 scores going into the fourth quarter, and now you're just able to just kind of boost your numbers. That's not what happened with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's not how like Joe Burrow put up insane numbers against like the Baltimore Ravens 2 games. It's not like what happened with Dak Prescott and the Baltimore Ravens. That's what people keep getting it twisted. When Dak Prescott played the Baltimore Ravens, the Ravens were absolutely annihilating the Dallas Cowboys. And then the Ravens kind of just, took their foot off the gas and just let, and a lot of prevent defense weren't very aggressive. They let the Cowboys kind of get back into the game and put up some numbers, but it was like, not because of Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys' greatness by any stretch of the imagination. And yet people keep pretending like that's essentially how Joe Burrow put up the level of numbers that he did. That's not true. That's not how those games unfolded at all. If this defense is just remotely competent, like that's all they need to be, let alone if they're good. Do you imagine if this defense is actually good? Then the Bengals would be a great team, honestly. I'm not in a position to make like confident predictions that I think a team like the Bengals defense is going to finally put it all together and really be an asset rather than a liability for them. So, yeah. It is interesting. So I guess that it would be these teams, and then the Bucks and the Packers is all the playoff teams, which is essentially we're adding in the Bengals and the 49ers in place of can't figure this out very quickly. Instead of the Vikings. And instead of, what would be the other team? The Texans. But it doesn't even really 100% make sense because we're not even looking at it from divisions, though. Because someone has to win. It's got to be the Texans, the Jags. It's got to be someone. So, but those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Danny's dozen best teams in the NFL? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.